Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's your boy from Bridging the Geekdoms Podcast. Now that we've done the full convert over, I do believe this might be the first one under the new monogram. Maybe. I'll apologize about the quality. I'm doing this on a very poopy gaming headset. But with that being said, I am here to do a Pacific Rim 2 review. Me and Nicole, my girlfriend, we saw it last week. And I figured, why not? We're doing new name, new stuff. So, Pacific Rim 2 review. It's directed by Stephen S. D. Knight. Not sure what else he directed. I haven't really did too much research on that. But we're here for a review. It's rated PG-13, and its runtime's about 111 minutes. It's starring John Boyega as Jake Pentecost, Scott Eastwood as Nate Lambert, Kaylee Spani, I don't know, I'm going to butcher names, as Amara Namani, and Charlie Day as Dr. Newton Geisler. Now, what I liked about the movie looked amazing. Explosions looked good. CGI, when it was good, looked phenomenal. It just, as a whole, the movie looked really, really good. And another thing, along with most people not enjoying, I actually really enjoyed the story. It did a lot to expand the universe, along with make, for the most part, coherent sense. It was a high point of the movie for me. And another thing I also enjoyed was the kaiju. They looked wonderful, like just beautifully designed, beautiful looking. Much detail was put into them, and even the roar was like raw. I mean, it was more intimidating than that, but you know what I mean. I also enjoyed Charlie Day as Dr. Newton Geisler. He really played the part of a villain, even though he kind of was just Charlie from It's Always Sunny, which was still great. I enjoyed the character anyway. And I also enjoyed the spoiler, obviously. I'm going to put some spoilers in here. I'm going to do a non-spoiler and a spoiler review, but the movie, I would like to say, experimented with cybernetic and genetic mutations in some sort with the big villain, which I'll get into with what I didn't like and also later on into the review. I also enjoyed the hive mind idea, but for the most part, the reason I like those two, the combination of genetics and cybernetics and the hive minds, because I'm a huge fan of the Mass Effect series. If you listen to the podcast formerly known as the Remote Control / Bridging the Geekdoms, I've been very vocal about my love for the Mass Effect series. Just the story, the factors of just everything with it. I love the series. So this starts to dabble in with the indoctrination and the Reapers in the Mass Effect. So I like the parallels. What I didn't like about the film, the big bad. Yes, again, spoilers. The kaiju come up from Earth, from the mechs. And they, for the most part, or like 3 of them come through, and then they're like, hold up, fam, let's fuck with some genetics and shit, and just fuse all 3 together. Yes, it makes sense, I guess, but like it was just unoriginal, and it didn't fit for me. I didn't really care for that idea. I mean, I guess it works, but I would have much rather seen something else, instead of like just a giant fusion. The forced romance between John Boyega, Scott Eastwood, and I can't remember the actress. It just seemed so forced. It was like that she didn't know what she was doing. John Boyega was just like, hey, she's pretty hot, and Scott Eastwood, or Nate Lambert as his character was just like, yeah, I've probably been smashing that. I don't really know. It didn't seem right. I did not. That was the worst part of the movie, in my opinion. The comedy didn't really fit too much either. Like, it should have been a more serious movie. I mean, yes, you could sprinkle comedy in here and there, but for the most part, like, every other line from John Boyega for the first half of the movie is trying to be funny, and I didn't care for that too much. The CGI towards the middle of the movie, like with the when they're all battling, at times looked pretty rough, but that could be offset by the way the movie looked. I could deal with that. It's just minor, real minor. The runtime. Now, 111 minutes, 2 hours, roughly, should be long enough for you to tell your story. This movie did not. This movie should have went on the way it was going for 3.5 hours. So the story, while it was good, was all over the place, and then just kind of tried to wrap it all up at like the last hour. They were just like, we're going to fight, and that's basically it. When there's so much more of a story that should have been told. So, the runtime should have been longer if they were going to do the story the way they did. So I guess I like the story, but I didn't like the story, I guess, if that makes sense. And again, the fight with the big bad at the end, it was, how did they go from destroying 3 of them to now this thing's just decimating everything in its way and we need to take a cheap shot at it to kill it, essentially. Spoiler, obviously. If you didn't catch it, spoiler. I didn't understand the fight at all. Like, it made no sense. And the fact that you could tell that how the ending was going to be was how just beyond me. But now, onto the actual synopsis and the review of the movie for me. The non-spoiler, of course, first. John Pentecost, a runaway, finds himself against the newest threat, Kaiju, with new recruit Amara Namani, in a battle to save the world. Basically a generic synopsis of how the movie goes. It's no details, obviously. Now, spoiler alert, this is a full rundown of the synopsis of the movie. I maybe missed a couple things here and there, but it, for the most part, hits all the major points on the head. So, again, spoiler warning. If you don't want it spoiled, skip ahead, I don't know, probably like 3 or 4 minutes, 5 at the most, and then you'll hear my review. So, spoiler. Again, can't stress it enough. I know people don't like spoilers. A globe-spanning conflict between the otherworldly monsters of mass destruction and the human piloted super machines built to vanquish them was only a prelude to the all-out assault on humanity in Pacific Rim Uprising. Jake Pentecost is a once promising Jaeger pilot whose legendary father gave his life to secure humanity's victory against the monstrous kaiju. Jake has since abandoned his training only to become caught up in the criminal underworld. Meeting a young girl, Mara, who builds her own Jaeger, Scrapper, the two are taken into custody. Finding out his only way to not be put in jail was to re-enlist in a Jaeger program with his new recruit, and Jake reluctantly accepts this. Dr. Herman Gottlieb discovers how kaiju blood reacts with rare earth minerals and becomes hyperactive. Struggling to fit in, Amara is bullied, and Jake not really fitting into the role of being a mentor. A proposition is raised for a substitute for Jaegers. With Jake and Nate rising to meet the public, they are met by a rogue Jaeger who kicks their ass. Hands down, just dominates them. Upon seeing the threat, an emergency vote is passed, and drones are set to deploy across the globe. Upon being dispersed, Dr. Newton Geisler, played by Charlie Day, has been connecting with a precursor mind, obviously since the first one, when they had to connect in the first one, has revealed his plan to take over the world with the kaiju enhanced drones from the indoctrination of the precursor. They're basically using him to terraform the planet for the precursors, which is similar to what the Reapers do in Mass Effect. See the parallels. The drones then begin to open portals in the Pacific Rim to let the kaiju climb through. Most are stopped in time by Lai Wen Xiao, the owner of the Xiao Company responsible for making the drones, and Dr. Herman Gottlieb. 3 kaiju were able to escape before the override happened, and all the Jaegers were destroyed by the drone attacks. The heroes rush to fix Jaegers, Gypsy Avenger, Bracer Phoenix, and Saber Athena, and another whose name I can't remember or think of in the moment. I Still, if you can help me, comment below, help me out a little bit. While the Jaegers are being rebuilt, the military decides that the kaiju are heading towards Mount Fuji to begin a doomsday terraform for the precursors. Not necessarily for the precursors. This was outside knowledge after watching the movie and writing this, but they were going to Mount Fuji to react with the rare earth minerals and, start the terraform process. Our heroes get into their Jaegers and head off into battle. They reach Japan, where the city they are in is evacuated, and they age the kaiju. Seemingly witting, Dr. Newton releases swarms of mini-drones who begin to form and fuse the three kaiju into one mega being. Similar to, again, I hate to take it back to Mass Effect, but the way Mass Effect and the Reaper indoctrination works, you slowly become a husk for humans, or a Banshee if you're an Asari. You slowly become a machine, and that's basically what they're doing. They're fusing the two. This being handily defeats the Heroes. I mean, it just decimates, absolutely destroys them. I don't even understand the dumb power level there. Until they launch Gypsy Avenger into the atmosphere and directly into the massive kaiju, killing it. While the kaiju is dying, Nate discovers Dr. Newton's location and captures him. Everyone celebrates as an indoctrinated Dr. Newton is tied up in a cell. And with his indoctrination, John Boyega's character comes into the room that he's in, and he's going on about how the precursors can't be stopped, and this and that and the other. And they lead into the third Pacific Rim. And John Boyega basically says humanity isn't going to wait around anymore. We're going to the precursor planet, and we're fighting them there. And it kind of, people are saying it shits on the movie, but it really doesn't. If you think about it, you would need that. You kind of need that as a bridge to go into the third one, which makes sense. So that ends the spoiler synopsis of it. So welcome back, everybody that muted me or fast forward or whatever. Listen, hi, back, welcome. Thank you for sticking around here. Now, I also took, because I know how Robert is very critical of scoring stuff and giving numbered reviews, so I took a couple different reviews, and I have another synopsis. But here's the IMDb synopsis review. But when an even more unstoppable threat is unleashed to tear through our cities and bring the world to its knees, he is given one last chance to pick up his father's legacy by his estranged sister, Mako Mori, who is leading the brave new generation of pilots that have grown up in the shadow of war. As they seek justice for the fallen, their only hope is to unite together in a global uprising against the forces of extinction. Jake is joined by a gifted rival pilot, Lambert, and 15-year-old Jaeger hacker, Amara, as heroes of the PPDC become the only family he has left, rising up to become the most powerful defense force to ever walk the earth. They will set course for a spectacular auto adventure on a towering scale. That's what IMDb says about the movie. Now on to the ratings. Again, Bob doesn't really care for the whole rating system. I think you need rating systems if you're even going to be interested in listening to this. So what I did was I took from Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, and Metacritic. And then I gave my own. So Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 5 out of 10, or 46%, and the audience gave it a 3.3 out of 5, or 57%. The reasonings. Del Toro's film was too reliant on monster mashing, carnage, and credit the Knight for holding back on the citywide destruction, which was a positive. And then a negative was, this is Transformers level insanity. It will not make you feel like a 10-year-old, but it will make you feel 10 years older by the time you leave the theater, which I could see because the movie, its pacing is so far off that it doesn't really make sense how the movie works sometimes. IMDb gave it a 6 out of 10. The plot is too hollow and feels like a Power Rangers episode, along with not being a Del Toro film. Now, Del Toro made an excellent first one, But I don't understand why everybody has such a boner. Yes, it's the Star Wars. Like, I'm going to bring it to Star Wars. George Lucas didn't make 7 or 8. 7 and 8 were good, like excellent films. But everybody's still saying, well, this isn't George Lucas, so it doesn't matter. Like, it's moving on with the universe. You have to suck it up and you have to get over it. That's just what you have to do for it. I'm sorry to burst your bubbles, but it is what it is. Del Toro not directing shouldn't have any sort of effect on whether or not you like it. Like, to a certain degree, it shouldn't really affect, like, oh man, Del Toro didn't direct it, so I'm not gonna like this movie at all. Like, give it a shot, you'll be surprised. Metacritic gave it a 44%. I couldn't really find reviews on their website for it, so maybe it was just me. I am pretty stupid, so I guess that could be it. Now on to my review. I gave it. I weighed what I liked about the movie and what I didn't like about the movie, and that's kind of how I judged it. I gave it, on a scale from 1 to 10, I gave it an 8. Solely based on my love for the sci-fi and the close resemblance of Mass Effect, which has the cybernetics and genetics and the hive mind and the higher beings, which I'm a huge fan of that. I'm interested to see what the third one's going to do. Hopefully the third one builds a little more story and paces itself a little better. But overall, I would say give the film a shot. I wouldn't say, oh man, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 40, what was it, 46? Maybe, like, yeah, I think it was 46. Gave it a 46. I'm not going to see this film. Give it a shot. It's a pretty excellent film. But with that being said, I mean, ultimately it's your choice. I would watch it. I would watch it again. But if you guys have anything else you'd like to add to this, give me your opinions. Leave it in the comment section below. I will try my best to read and reply. If you guys like this, let me know. I'll do more reviews. Me and my girlfriend see a movie at least once a week. So, I mean, we alternate. So this week was mine. Maybe next week will be, or this week, or no, it'd be next week. Next week will be a chick flick, more than likely, or something else. But I'll try to put up reviews fairly more often. Maybe I'll talk to Robert. Maybe he'll do some more, do a couple. But with that being said, make sure you comment down below how you feel about the film. Give it your own rating. Maybe we'll take a poll on it. But it's been Colton, your boy Skinny Penis from Bridging the Geekdoms. And have a good night. Thanks for listening. Bye.